Does. Why would we want a thermal?
In case there's anything that's within our, like where we are, that's
What are we looking for in here?
heat signatures.
Not heat, but
Uh,
opposite of heat.
oh, cold?
Cold.
Cold spots?
We're looking for cold spots.
Oh,
Literal.
okay.
So
cold
that
spots.
old Dodge that goes create cold spots, like that's a
Okay.
real thing.
Okay.
So should be able to see me. Why is she coming down this way? Oh, that's not her.
No.
I was kind of like, wait a minute.
She went there.
So should be able to see me in there, right?
Oh,
Red,
yeah,
orange,
yeah.
and yellow guy.
I see you, yeah.
So
okay.
we're looking for blue and black. That's the way I have it set up, so it's nice and easy to use on your guys' end.
Okay.
So those blue and black spots are obviously going to be the colder areas, but we're always going to have blue and black because we're going to have windshields and all kinds of glass on it, you know what I mean? Things like that. So I'm looking for those things to either take shape or to start moving on their own. So when I say taking shape, I want to head, shoulders, moving arms and legs. That's what we've caught in the past with this guy. That's hopefully what we'll capture again. Now, I also have this guy set up with a blue dot bouncing around the screen. Do you see the blue dot?
Yeah.
I do.
Okay, that is showing you the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. Okay, so tonight is, what did I write down? I think it was 56 or 58 degrees out here ambient.
Yeah.
It is 58 degrees out here ambient, so I'm looking for 15 plus degree temperature drops, which means 43 degrees and below is what I'm looking for out of the blue dot.
Okay.
The blue dot will be in your film when you guys get it back.
Okay.
But just so you know, in the event we don't have a full blue person walking towards us, hopefully you'll find something in that blue dot, because remember, I'm only spot checking the video.
Okay.
This one, does it capture something every night? No. Is it super fun to watch? Hell yeah, it is.
Yeah.
When we do capture something, it is a holy shit moment. I'm just going to put that out there.
Cool.
The other piece of this is that I get probably, we'll just say 4 to 6 solid pieces of this per year, where I'll put my stamp of approval like it was definitely something paranormal.
Okay.
Now, every other time that I've had something happen with this camera specifically, I've always had some other camera to be able to verify that it was nothing there. Because every camera that I have sees things in a much different light. So they all work a little bit differently than the other ones. So, camera's on your left, good.
Did I do it?
Yep, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, it should look like a square.
Okay,
When it's
okay,
not
that's when it-
recording, it'll be
okay.
full.
Okay.
So in the event other cars are going to be moving in and out of here, or people obviously just kind of keep it lower. I mean, I just tell people just go straight to the belly shop, so nobody,
Okay.
conspicuous us. All right, so he's good to go. He's still rolling. I just like to make sure he didn't tap any buttons. But welcome to a parking lot. This place used to be something relevant to the history of Charleston. That's why we're here. Other ghost tours don't come here because there's obviously nothing to see.
Sure.
So this used to be the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion. Their mansion used to sit in front of the space, facing East Bay Street, and then Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant and came all the way across. And then the servant and slave quarters were in the back of the space, and those were the servants for the home. So who the hell were these people? So Eliza and Charles, that was the Pinckneys themselves. They had a son named Charles, and they had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Chucks. That's why we look for secondary clues. He hears the name Charles, I need to know which one it is. They are 3 different men, just like you guys are 2 different Mikes. Okay? So the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. Big deal for us. I hate politics. We're going to move on.
Straight up.
I know, right? Especially this year.
Oh, it's terrible. Yep. Don't even go there.
Yeah, let's not get that
It's
started.
horrible.
Sorry.
Yep.
But if I don't give those gentlemen that recognition, I just like to point out that they will do it for me very nastily through a spirit box. So I just like to make sure I give them the recognition. We move on. We're going to be talking about Eliza. I'll breeze through this one because this one can be a little on the dry side, but this is, by the way, one of the most active places I've ever been in my 14 years of ghost hunting, which is why I cannot give it up out of my route. I do change this up every year, where I take out one space and I add a new one. I tried to take this one out because I had very disrespectful ghost hunters coming to see me, but I can't. There's too much that goes on here. So who the heck was Eliza Pinckney? Eliza marries Charles at a young age according to today's standards. If he's listening in and is going to ask that question, don't think of the numbers of when women got married in colonial days. They were normally 12 and 14. I don't know how old you are, but just think of people that you know that would be getting married at this time. So don't think of those kind of numbers. It would be today's standards, because the husband was over double her age. It was creepy then, creepy now.
Oh, it's always creepy.
Yeah, definitely creepy. He's look, he's even got a scowl on his face. I like it. But anyway, she marries him because her father's over in England. That's where her family's from. So Dad thinks he's dying, and he's trying to bring all of his kids home to England so he could see him one last time. Well, Eliza didn't believe that he was dying, so she stayed put right here and got married. That's 1744. You don't get married in that year to get a green card. We're not a country yet. So she did marry him out of love. This is a true love story, believe it or not. So she was right. Dad did not die right away. Instead, he started sending her gifts from England to where you're standing. One of those gifts happens to be the plant seeds of indigo. That's a plant that makes blue dye that makes your blue jeans blue. You're wearing it right now because that's what we use it for today still. So when Eliza got her seeds, she had to learn from her servants and slaves how to keep it cultivated. It was already here, but it wasn't in the plantation style culture. It was here through the Gullah culture, which were basically slaves straight from Africa. Okay, so she learned from them how to keep it going, learned how to make the dye, moved it to a cash crop plantation down by the Stono River, just south of here, a few miles, and then got a hold of Dad overseas and told him that the rice plantations were going downhill because rice plantations were a huge deal back in those days.
It said blue sky.
Blue sky, blue dye. So it's a damn good rhyme, isn't it? This is what we're looking for. Again, it's all day, every day for me. It's all about finding those references. But told him that they were going to make a killing with the indigo, and they did. Because now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. It's something absolutely unheard of, especially before we were even a country. So that's kind of the boring, dry stuff. Let's kind of focus, give him a set of focus questions so that way he knows at least kind of a little bit of what to kind of look for out of this. He's already got the gist. He gave me blue skies. What was the other phrase you gave me over there?
I love you.
Something about the heart.
Yeah, I
love you to the bottom of my heart kind of thing.
Bottom of my heart, yeah.
I'll
Love you with all
probably just
my
write
heart.
down.
Yeah.
I'll probably just write down bottom of my heart because heart is the one reference. So his spirit box being slowed down. That's actually a very good point. If you ask what color is a big red barn and you hear Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, I don't need Rudolph the nosed reindeer. I just need the red that's in the middle of that. So you hearing bottom of my heart, that whole phrase, I'm not going to write that whole thing down. We just need the word heart. But you're going to focus on Eliza's death. These are things you can either ask out loud or you can just focus on them, kind of like what you're already doing. But the four major questions that we commonly get answers to: how did she die? How old was she when she died? Where she's buried? What president was a pallbearer at her funeral? So these are four major things. Notice that none of them are yes/no questions, and they're very, very specific things. So with my word list, I would just kind of stick to the answers of the mansion's not here anymore, so hopefully we get what happened to it. And if we get the what kind of tragedy it was, I'm obviously giving you a clue that it's a tragedy because you might get the answer because we're going to be sticking together in here. We will often get 2 or 3 numbers from the exact date of when that tragedy occurred. So it's basically actually how I learned about it. We actually had all 3 numbers from the date and the word of the tragedy, and I didn't know what all 4 of those things meant together the first time we had it. That's how I learn about this shit. Like, it comes out of previous investigations.
There's an ad and it just said suicide.
We keep getting that word here, and I think they're just playing that kind of ad because that would be the 3rd time this week that that's actually occurred, and I'm like, yeah, that's not a thing here. This is actually, believe it or not, a happy place. So this is a place of respect.
Interesting.
So I'm going to write down bottom of my heart, and he had blue skies while we're here. So I kind of you have to remember, radio and anything dealing with that kind of broadcasting industry is going to be on a time scale for certain things. And when you hear the same thing over and over again, that's literally the 3rd time in a row that we've had the word suicide show up while we were here. I wrote it down the first 2 times, but now I know it's definitely...
It said in home. So, home.
Well, yeah, home, house, and family are 3 common terms that we get here. So if you hear house and family, we already have home. We don't need to write down another one. But yeah, he's on the right track. I love it. So let me break out my EMF meter, and we're going to take 1 or 2 laps around this joint and see what we can get out of it. Eliza already knows what your names are, but Eliza, I didn't bring the whole group that I was going to bring, did I? So
Shot.
I got the 2 mics here with me.
Said shot?
Shot. 28.7 right away. Holy cow. So I guess I need to explain this. There's a 9.4. So if you were to put this behind your TV, it's going to read anywhere between 40 to 60 milligauss. Against your microwave, when it's on, heating up your food, it's going to read about 150 to 170. The highest I've ever seen this guy go has been here. It actually errored out 3 times in one evening. This was just a little over a month ago. And when I say air it out, that's over 200 milligauss. That's more than what's going on inside the running microwave.
Wow.
We left. Basically because I have epilepsy. That's too much electricity in the air for the guy with the neurological disorder.
Wow.
So, I mean, we're getting that was a 28.7, and then I
What
saw a 9.4.
does this mean, though?
So someone is coming by. It's more than likely going to be Eliza, and she's just kind of checking us out. See how it's going real low once we get a good spike? If it was coming from, let's say, a cell phone or anything that's in your pocket or hands, it would be kind of gradual. So I had that 28. It would have went 28, 30, 24, 27. It would kind of vary around that place because it's a man-made object. It's going to give off, a very steady kind of fluctuation. There's a 16.4, and it's going to probably go way, way down here in a second, 7.6. So at this
wild.
point, I'm going to just keep track of anything above a 25, just because it looks like we've already had like a good slew of numbers. Again, when this thing starts staying in the triple digits, that's usually where I call it and say, okay, we're going to wrap this one up before, I get some migraines or any kind of seizure activity. So I just like to kind of keep an eye on things. My word list, but yeah, I like how he's like, hey, what the heck does that mean? Oh, we got the word stop, not stopping. Okay, so still a whole lot of nothing. Nothing that I'm excited about, anyway.
Okay.
So I'm gonna be honest with you guys all night. If
Yeah.
things suck, they suck, right?
Yeah, no.
So,
Don't
all right,
bullshit
let's
us.
take
Don't
kind of one or
bullshit
two
us.
laps and kind of see what we can get out of this.
Okay.
Eliza, you already checked this out.
Keep
So
your eyes on the ground, buddy, so you don't trip.
Mike, you can hear whatever you want him to hear. He can spit it right back out to us. It's not like you don't know how this works. We're focused on your death questions tonight, and of course the mansion questions. You should also notice, like, I'm not shouting like they would do on TV. I mean,
Right.
you think she didn't hear that whole spiel that I just talked about her for the past 5 to 7 minutes?
Exactly.
I mean, and I hate when they do that.
Yeah.
They're like, here's what's gonna happen. Hey, Eliza, and
Right.
it's like, come
Come
on,
and get
man.
me.
Like, yeah, like, come on, man. Like,
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't need to do that. They can
Yeah.
hear you.
Right.
You know,
right.
if you're coming up with a plan, they already know what the plan is because you just said it to your buddy.
Completely.
Such,
That's great.
the TV show people, like, they just kill me.
Yeah.
And granted, they lured me into. I mean, when no.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's probably tough for you to deal with all the silliness sometimes.
Sometimes.
And the expectations of people when they come to you, I'm sure is
Oh
probably,
yeah,
that's probably the worst, right?
it can be.
Yeah.
I do see, I would just say, like 1 to 3 hardcore skeptics. It's like some dragged husband, kind of shows up and he wants to sing Ghostbusters all night long, just trying to poke the bear. I tell him flat out, I can dish it right back, dude. So
Yeah.
if you're gonna
Yeah.
throw jokes, I'm just
Right.
asking you to have a good time. That's
right.
it.
Right.
92.
That's a close but no cigar.
What happened?
Eliza died in 1793, not 92. So it's a close but no cigar to
Interesting.
me. I like things to be exact.
Yeah. Interesting.
I was almost excited there for a second. I heard the 90. I'm like, come on, say it.
God,
Eliza, 12, 14. Oh, I should have dropped down to nothing. Yep, 3.2. That's just like a courtyard to the restaurant back there. Are you
Uh-huh.
like looking at the lights back up there? Is that what you're watching?
I was actually appreciating that. Yeah, just thinking to myself, the
Yeah,
pretty stained glass. Yeah, that always has a special place in my heart. Stained glass.
Actually, that restaurant used to be an actual church,
Oh, did it really?
and it was actually started by a Pinckney.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
It was called the Redeemer, and the letters "the Redeemer" are in brick on the front of that building.
Oh.
Because Harriet Pinckney, I want to say it was the niece of Eliza, started that so that way that the sailors that were coming here actually had a place to come worship with no denomination to the church. So doesn't matter what religion you were, you can come and worship.
Wow.
So 23.8. But yeah, you could still see that. I mean, that place is allegedly haunted too. Most of the restaurant staff will tell you that it's definitely haunted. Things fly off the shelves there.
No kidding.
Oh yeah, we got some decent ratings here.
Nick, do you need these devices are you sensitive, in other words?
I can be.
Have you been able to go in places and say, I know there's
Yeah, but
something
this is
feels-
validation.
This is validation, yeah.
So I get a lot of self-proclaimed psychics that come to see me.
Mm.
If they tell me up front, I make sure that they don't get one of those. I don't want to interfere with what they're already getting. But a lot of self-proclaimed psychics I'm able to debunk pretty quickly.
Sure.
I'll be honest, most of them get sick halfway through the tour and have to leave, kind of shit, because they're pissed off that I was like, yeah, no, that's not a thing here. Like they would
Right.
come up with that suicide term here, and I'm like, no,
Because they
don't
just
piss
want
her off.
to be,
you know?
yeah.
They want it to be dark. They want it to be nasty.
Uh-huh.
Just like the TV shows. I'm like, nope, that's not how this works.
So interesting.
But when I do get somebody that has a little bit of potential, which actually I met a woman, it's about a week and a half. She actually had a lot of potential. She was so hesitant about telling me like what she was getting. I'm like, just it's okay. You're in a safe space.
Yeah.
Just let me know. I don't bring anything that I'm able to do to this because you guys didn't come to see that. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So
Interesting.
you guys
Oh,
came.
it said garage.
Okay. So it basically means we need to move up to that area.
Calling us over, buddy.
So the way the house was set up, the reason why I came straight up here when he said garage, it wouldn't necessarily have been a garage because we're talking colonial days. They didn't have cars back then, so this is where their horse and buggy would have been, or at least their buggy, at least for that matter.
Sure.
So again, could it have been technically a garage? That could have been an English term that I don't know about that Eliza may have used, and I said, okay, maybe she's saying the word garage. I'll look at it as it's a possibility, but I'll go 19.8. This thing's all over the place tonight. It's jumping.
Yeah. And he said jump.
He did say jump.
Bunch.
Eliza, any specific
That says
things?
bunch.
Any specific words you want to give us, Eliza? That shut off. That sucks. I'm particularly looking at things wrapped around your death and, of course, the mansion. So we'll give you another minute or two before we wrap this up. I mean, obviously, I can see that you're moving around because now we're at flat zeros. Look at there. Little 6, 2, little guys. We had a 19.8 when we got over here. Yeah, it's staying pretty low.
Military.
Military. Okay. Eliza, did you bring one of your children with you tonight? If so, you got to tell me which one.
Kill them.
Eliza, keep it simple. Mike has never done this before. Eliza, if you would like us to leave, you know the code word. We can wrap it up. We will abide by your wishes. You know we only come with respect. Anything weird going on there?
It's like where the blue dots jumping around at the top. It's like almost looks like someone was casting shadows from above, like these darker like shadows that are on the street below where the blue dot is. But I don't know if that's just a function of the camera.
So one thing I probably forgot to give you this disclaimer on the camera, other than obviously no cars, no people, is that I do like. A group this small, it's going to be hard to do. Try to keep one of us in view because it's much easier to find a cold spot when we have a warm reference. I would normally make the joke if there were a bunch of ladies in front of me that I'm the hottest thing inside the frame, and it usually gets everybody laughing and gets them to lighten up a little bit.
Got it.
But the blue dot is because there's no surface on the sky.
Got
so try to keep the sky out if you can.
Yeah, there's no sky. It's just like chin to bottom,
Yeah.
torso kind of. Okay, cool.
So it's usually it'll default to the sky because there's no surface up there. You got anything else coming out of there? Or should we call it? What do you think? Don't get me wrong, we got more places we're
We'll
definitely
move
going.
on.
'Cause I'm going to give you all
Except
the
left.
left. That actually makes sense. I asked which sun was here.
Was left.
Yeah. It'll make sense in just a minute. Keep listening. I'm going to start with giving you guys the answers.
Okay.
I might even have the name on my word list already. Who knows? Nope. It's okay. I'm going to go through it. So, feel free to keep that thing rolling as I'm covering the answers.
Okay.
Completely up to you if you want to stop it and relax your hands. But obviously, I'm going to have him continue to listen as I kind of cover all of the answers.
Can you hear what he's saying?
Yeah.
What he's saying? Cool.
So I usually break out the tablet with most locations just so there's kind of a visual to all of the answers. Not to mention when I hand out as many questions as I do to all of these folks, it helps me remember all the damn questions I gave you guys that night. So it kind of also shows you what I look for when I get back to the office. So first thing we need to look at is who Eliza is. And that will kind of explain some of this. So this is Eliza Lucas Pinckney.
Oh my gosh.
So this is the woman that I was obviously speaking to in hopes of getting answers.
Eliza, you're beautiful.
So I usually use her maiden name when I'm giving this picture because she's the second wife named Eliza from Charles back to back. The first wife, also named Eliza, also had a maiden name that started with the letter L. So we have an Eliza Lamb Pinckney who died in January of 1744, and 5 months later he marries this one. Yeah.
What the what? Wild.
Yeah, happens. We do get
No.
either maiden name that will show up.
You said no?
He said no. Someone said no.
No.
This wife, the second one, marries Charles when she's 22. Charles is 45.
Wow.
23-year age gap.
And that time, that was weird. That time
Well,
too.
she would have been considered an old maid at that point. Wow. Because most women got married pretty young,
12,
like by
13.
17. Like
Wow,
you're almost at you're almost done.
Wow.
But yeah, 22. She wouldn't. Nobody else would have wanted her.
Wow.
What happened to the mansion? This is a photograph of where you're standing right now.
Oh wow.
It's taken from back there, so you can see like we're looking at the back of the house. So we're basically over in this area. Now, with that said, this
17.
is fire damage from the Great Fire of 1861.
Wow.
Again, we will get 2 or 3 numbers from the date in the event we have the word fire, burning, or blaze, or anything relative to a fire. This happened on December 11th. These are very specific numbers, 12, 11, 61. We will normally get 2 or 3 numbers from the date if we indeed have the word fire or anything relative to a fire. We didn't get any of that tonight. But again, we don't know what I'm going to be finding in my spot check either. Now, if you guys are taking other tours in town, I don't know, no matter what kind of tour you're going to take, they're going to tell you about a great fire. That's a map of Charleston, and that's the fire that took out the mansion. Went literally from one side of the peninsula, you're standing on the green dot, all the way to the other side.
Oh my
So this
gosh.
is a huge fire.
Wow.
It actually took the Ashley River to be able to put out the fire. Like, that's how big it
Wow.
was. It's about $9 million worth of damage back then. So I don't know what that equates to now because inflation
Hot.
changes. Stupid again. There's the word hot. Fire, burning, blaze. So I'll be writing down the word hot for sure.
Yeah.
So the children, I don't always give out the questions about the children on purpose because I don't want strangers poking the bear. The reason why is there's a tragedy among these kids. I just let you know what I'm looking for when I get back to the office. So here's a quick synopsis on the kids. So Charles, you already know about, signer of the Constitution. The next child I bring up is Thomas. He fought in a Revolutionary War battle, military, that he heard, and he was shot in his left leg.
Wow.
That's why I asked, what child is here? After being captured by the British. When the British released him, he was left on a cane and a limp for the rest of his days. Any picture you find of Thomas Pinckney after that battle is he's basically sitting down, showing off his right side so he can hide his left leg, and a cane is over his lap. So that would be the reason why. Obviously, very specific clues.
Another
will pop
meaning
up.
for left.
Yeah,
He was left, and it was
Yeah.
his left leg.
he was. And again, these are things that
Do
I
you
didn't.
find that kids have a better time with this kind of specifically?
They can listen to that easier.
Uh-huh.
Um,
You did say that in the beginning. That
and
the-
that's only
the
because
younger people-
most of these kids today have AirPods in their ears all the time anyway. So
Yeah.
I find it odd that they do very well with radio sweeps, considering I know they're not listening to the radio. Like, they're listening to
No one's
streaming.
listening, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm just surprised that they do as well as they do, because that's not an easy task. Even guys like us that have been listening to the radio and grew up with the radio, like, it's hard for somebody that's never done that before. But
Sure.
these guys like him, they pick it up all the time. Now, if you're
Sure.
asking because he's younger and he hasn't been as conditioned as we are, not necessarily.
No.
Do I get little kids? Little kids are my biggest skeptics,
Hmm.
believe it or not. Like, I've had them bring up religious questions with me, like, what would God think of you doing this?
Oh, boy.
Like, that kind of thing. And I look at the parents, I'm like, really? This is who you brought me? Little Jimmy over here that wants to question me and God?
Right,
Like, come on,
right.
man.
Yeah, right.
But it just depends.
Yeah.
Honestly, I usually give it to teenagers because half the time they're not listening to me.
Yeah.
And I want it that way.
Yeah.
I
Right.
want them to not pay attention to the point where they're just telling me things like left and military.
Yeah, they're just blurting it out.
Exactly.
Yeah, got it.
The next child is the reason why I don't give you guys the set of questions about kids. Is it's Baby George. Baby
boy.
George, June of 1747, was born and passed. His death certificate only says June of 1747 in both the birth and death columns, which means we don't have a date. We don't know how old he was. My guess is he was at least 2 weeks old. You wouldn't name a child back then until they were baptized or christened, depending on the religious state. Now, with that said, if they knew the child was ill, they would have rushed the baptism, and they would have basically said, let's do this in 2 weeks' time. Let's go ahead and lower that camera. We got some folks coming by. Hey, you can probably put it at a stop at this point.
Okay.
We're going to stir it up and leave.
Okay.
In the event other tours come down here, because this is kind of a staple for every ghost tour,
Okay.
they'll come out of that wall, or they will come in the same way that we did. And of course, you've been very respectful with people walking by, so if you see people walking up, we're just going to
Yeah.
obviously lower it. All right, so welcome to Philadelphia Alley, but this used to be called Dueler's Alley. Let me check my word list real quick, see if I got anything coming up. He did get the word hello as soon as we came in here. Chain and broken. You see that?
It's like some rustling and rattling over there.
We have a few rats down here.
Uh-oh.
But they usually don't make any noise. It's usually like in the agony.
Hell.
Sorry.
He's like, I don't want to see no
We're
rats.
in his house, man. He lived here. I actually named him. His name's Remy.
That's great.
But anyway, you should see the ladies. Like, I don't bring him up until he starts jumping all over the fences.
Oh
and
my
stuff.
gosh.
And I'm like, yeah, we're gonna go because Remy's getting restless.
That's great.
But this used to be called Dueler's Alley.
Okay.
So some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston.
No kidding.
Yeah, and I say some of them because dueling was illegal. So they had to find hiding spots. This just happened to be one of the hiding spots. Wow. Sorry, it's still kind of blowing. That was just a weird noise. What the hell was it? But anyway, so every ghost tour that comes down here, which is every one of the ones that I mentioned earlier, all 338 of them, they all come down here. It's been the same story told for the past 40, 50 years. I give you the same story with a few extra added details because obviously I do some research.
Prison.
I didn't go to prison. But again, this is a very cheesy story, but it still really ties in because I get all the evidence from it. A doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. If he hears the song Brown Eyed Girl while we're here, it's not coincidence. It's part of his name. We get it all the time. But anyway, Dr. Ladd moves here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of the cash flow that she has. Now, the attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money, so he tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor. So he moves here to Charlestown to prove that he's not after Amanda's money, and he's proving his point. So on his way into town, he had a coachman that was bringing him in, and the coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. It's kind of like having a really bad Uber driver now. Normally how I describe it to the teens that I get. He's got a gunman inside trying to kill him, and somebody's walking by and seeing what was about to happen because he knew the coachman. So the walking by person, his name is Ralph Isaacs. I stopped there because Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from, Rhode Island. So we were getting the letters R.I. all the time, like somebody's trying to spell the word victorious, where there's an R and I next to each other, on regular spirit boxes. So I bought another device. It actually acts just like a Ouija board, but it's electronic. So it uses EMF, like the little doodad in my pocket here. Anytime there's a spike, it's actually going to give us a letter. In the year that I've had it, we've gotten the letters R.I. in that order, specifically whenever I bring up
Rhodes.
Ralph's names. Rhodes?
Roads.
That's so close. Thought for sure he was gonna. Okay, I'm not gonna give it to him yet. Okay. So, but my point is we've gotten the letters RI a handful of times. It's not every single night. That's why I don't always use that device. Anyway, back to Ralph. He tells Doc, dude, I know the guy, the coachman. He's gonna try to kill you. Come with me. I got friends at 59 Church Street. You can rent a room from them. We'll be safe. You'll be good to go. Doc took him up on the offer. They became friends. Now, the longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. He's proving his point. He's not after Amanda's money. So Amanda gets wind of this. She's moving down so they can be married. Dr. Ladd became known as the Whistling Doctor. That's why I hate this story. It's a big old cliche. Every haunted city has a whistling ghost. We all have one. Ours just happens to be a doctor, but there's some validity to the whistles. We're going to get to that. Let's get into why we're at Dueler's Alley. Dr. Ladd and Ralph go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. That's the hierarchy of Charleston. So, one night after seeing Richard III, they're arguing over the actress they just saw. Doc thought she was great. Ralph didn't think she was great at all. The argument turns into Ralph insulting the doctor's fiance. Back home in Rhode Island, it got really ugly. They went their separate ways. Ralph has friends around town. He goes to the friends at the newspaper, and he puts an ad in the newspaper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society kind of mentality.
Authors.
Sorry, I can't pass that one up. Dr. Ladd actually wrote poetry during his time here, and his work was later published by his sister. I'm not going to tell you what her name was. Well, And then roads, I'm going to tell you, remember that address, 59 Church Street? We know it as the Thomas Rose House. So we get the word Rose here all the time. So, not surprised.
Okay.
But anyway, back to the newspaper ad. Doc saw the ad, but rebutted with, let's go to Dilworth Valley. Somebody's going to die. Over an actress, by the way, even though it ended with him insulting the fiance.
Said Joe.
So, Joe, Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. So, we got this.
You're good.
So,
You're
it's
killing
on
it.
fire.
You're killing the kid.
So the two gentlemen came down here because he said somebody's going to die over this. So they came down, they took their 10 paces after back-to-back kind of mentality, and they turned. The doc pointed his gun in the air, and he shot his one shot. He didn't want to kill his friend. He just needed the courage to show up. That's often what happened at a duel. But Ralph has his one bullet. He puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. Doc didn't die, but Ralph proved he's still pissed off, and he's not willing to forgive. Doc's friends pick him up, took him home to 59 Church Street. He died 10 days later after refusing medical treatment, November 2nd, 1786. I'm going to point out two things. First off, it's 1786. Gunshot wounds back then, a lot different than the way they are now.
Oh.
Second, he's a doctor.
Yeah.
He probably just thought he had lead poisoning and tried to bleed it out himself, but obviously he failed.
Oh my God.
Now, every ghost tour that comes down here, and I'm super surprised that there's nobody down here with us right now, because
Yeah.
this is a super popular spot.
Yeah.
This was the space I was going to be taking out of my route this year.
Oh.
Just because it is the grand old cliche. But what I found was the few nights that I did take him out, he showed up somewhere else. And we were near his old house. So that's why he was starting to slip through.
Boom.
So, gunshot wounds. Only one shot at a time. We are talking about flintlocks that use pretty heavy gunpowder, so it would have made a loud sound in that manner. I'm not a big gun advocate, nor do I know my guns, but I know like a flintlock is not going to make a normal gunshot like what we know now.
Sure.
But everybody tells you to listen for the whistles while you're down here. Luckily for us, we have your camera, which records audio, plus my voice recorder. If we're going to capture a disembodied whistle, it'll show up on these two devices. Secondly, Mike's device. I can't tell you how many times, it's countless amount of times, we have the whistling part of a song and the word doctor from a commercial immediately after. Doctor, get it all the time. I mean, dozens and dozens of times, like over the past 4 years that I've been coming here.
That's so wild, bro.
If you're going to try this on your own, because you guys are going to come back downtown and you're going to walk all the way through the alley, and you're going to try to listen for those whistles using your voice recorders, just remember every local knows a story. So anybody walking up and down Queen or Cumberland, we all throw a whistle down the alley, me included. Ever since I got thrown out of here, let me tell you that story, because that's actually the fun part of the whole story. Now, the alley has a long history. Part of that long history is that there was a wall halfway between us and Cumberland Street, which is why I always stop at the gate. I've actually been down here with a tape measure to like measure out how far away it was.
Pencil.
Stretch, but we're in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania alley. So Philadelphia's in Pennsylvania. It's a stretch, but anyway, it does have the word author as well. But anyway, the wall was there because this is where they kept the livestock for the city of Charleston. So that's a little stretch. That goes
Away.
away.
You're walking away.
So I always watch out for the neighbors when I'm telling the story because they're the ones that got me booted out of here. But anyway, so all the livestock was down here, which it means it was called Cow Alley. We do get the word cow that will show up from time to time, depending on which spirit boxes we're using, including my word list. But that means the reason why this is a ghost part and why I actually get this, get thrown out of here is those bricks down on the other side
Crossroad.
are actually older than the ones we're standing on, the bricks on the ground. It started over there. So those bricks down there are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint from a slave child down there and fingerprint swipes in other bricks. And I used to take my
Surprise.
groups down there for a history lesson. There's nothing paranormal about it. I've already told you how I feel about cemeteries. That kid's not there. That's the last place you're going to find him. November 26th of 2020, my entire group of 10 is huddled around that brick waiting for something to happen. I know nothing's going to happen because the kid's not there.
Yeah.
Secondly, I'm trying to be respectful because we're right outside the dining room window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. The new owner of that mansion was not happy. He came out screaming.
Valley.
My daughter thought it was hysterical because she was on the tour that night, and her dad's getting yelled at. She was all about it. We moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I tore on Thanksgiving because I worked in upper management for Walmart for over 10 years. People like to fight over towels on Thanksgiving. I've been scarred for life, so I don't tour on Thanksgiving. The next day was the 28th. I called my partner that brought me into tourism, and I told him what happened, trying to figure out what the hell am I supposed to do
Night.
now. So he's laughing at me too because, you know, he knows I'm not supposed to be down that far. He never told me. He's like, it's residential down that far. Your cutoff point is the halfway mark of the alley, right there by the marker. He's like, you're going to have to reroute your group. So
Narrow.
what I told my team that night was, I don't believe in the next story because I've never had anything happen over there, and I'm into vampires, not pirates, like what we're about to discuss next. So before we left, somebody with a spirit box heard the name Anne. I didn't tell them which pirate we were going to be investigating, the famous female pirate, Anne Bonny. So I was like, oh shit, maybe we're going to get something. We go up and around the corner. I told them a little bit I did know about pirates, and somebody
16.
else heard the number 300. I didn't know what that one meant. I wrote it down. I did the research. We were there November 28th of 2020, and Bonnie's trial for piracy, November 28th of 1720, the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. So I was kind of like, well, damn it.
Yeah.
I was actually kind of pissed off. The
Yeah.
reason why is because, again, I have a master's degree in creative writing. No matter what I'm writing, and especially when I'm doing this, I need facts and data. If you know anything about pirates, those stories come from pirate lore, which was written 100 years after the golden age of piracy, the days of Blackbeard. So that's a problem because
Yeah.
nothing can be trusted.
Yeah, it's
I've
Cannons.
read more books on pirates than I've ever wanted to in my entire life on pirates. It just wasn't a subject matter that I was super interested in, and now I could probably be counted as some kind of piratey expert
Sail.
because of all the things that, look, you see all the pirate stuff he's getting right now?
We're talking
Yeah,
about it.
Yep. Get some of those.
He said 17.
There was something that caught my attention. He had 16 as well.
Water.
But
Yeah.
the next location, like where we go to, because again, we're going to have to exit the way we came in. I'm not going to take you back down.
Sure.
But when we go up and around the corner, I'll give you the history of Anne Bonny. And then, of course, we'll be able to fully explore like what we've been doing. I would say at this point, you can probably, you know, put a stop on your camera until we get up to the next stop. But this location has a shit ton of
41.
So that is the Gunpowder magazine. It's a museum now, but it held gunpowder for 7 different wars and 1 rebellion. So we're here because that building was being constructed at the same time that Anne Bonny was coming here. So it's what I call a familiar. You guys watch the TV shows, they use that Boo Buddy. You guys know what that is?
No.
That's the teddy bear with the little blinky light doodad in there. So if a child comes near it, basically the teddy bear will go off and say, ooh, that tickles. You know, it's kind of creepy.
That's
But the whole point of it is that the child would recognize it as a toy. Think of that concept with the building. We don't have many buildings this old.
No.
So we're hoping that Anne Bonny is here because it's from her era and she recognizes it. It's a 50-50 roll of the dice,
Crashing.
but at the same time, we might have bleed over coming over from Big John, or not Big John, but Dr. Ladd. So that's another reason why it's kind of like this is a
Dark
good
side.
50-50 spot kind of mentality.
Dark side.
So I'm going to breeze through this one as quickly as I can because there's a lot of information here.
Okay.
I'll slow down on some of the twists because we're talking about a kick-ass female pirate. There's a couple of twists. So the building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like the government small building? 10 years? No, not at all. But anyway, right in the middle of its construction is where the history begins. So 1708, a young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormac. She comes here with her father and his mistress, basically his girlfriend. The girlfriend is Anne's mother. You guys with me so far?
Okay.
Okay, the 3 of them running away from her father's angry wife. How pissed was the wife that she kicked the 3 of them out of the damn country? It's 1708. There's no planes. They came here by
Wedding.
boat. So, yeah, they come here. They land in Georgetown, actually pretty close to where you guys are staying. Not too far. It's only about 30 minutes up north. So Dad bought a plantation up there in Georgetown. Mom died pretty quickly. That means Dad is now sending young Anne, basically from Georgetown, all the way down here to Charlestown, hence the familiar building, to sell things from the plantation to help keep things afloat. So kind of keep that all in mind.
Whoa.
Young girl. So
Hard.
yeah.
Hard story.
Right. Now, back home in Ireland,
Little.
Anne was said to be kind of a badass even back then in Ireland. They say when she was 7, 8, 9 years old, they say she killed a servant with a knife to the belly. Just kind of giving you the mentality of this young lady as we kind of move through her history. Fast forward, the building's done. 2 more years in 1715, pirates are starting to come through Charlestown, right where we're standing. Anne is stoked. The reason why? She's going to fall in love with one of these guys so she can earn her freedom, just like a man.
I think
So
it
women
said
weren't free at this
stab.
point. So we are going to I'm going to put you on hold because I'm going to breeze through this as fast as I can, okay? Because I want to keep, like, listening to him.
Yeah.
So First guy she fell in love with, James Bonney. You already know where this one's going. And by the way, I said first because there's a handful, and we're going to talk about all of them. That's what makes the story so damn good.
Whoa.
So, James Bonney, you already know where this part of the story is going. Dad didn't approve. He's a filthy pirate. They ran away to Jamaica. They got married, and Cormac became Anne Bonny. That's where the pirate name came from. However, when they get down there, she realizes that her new husband is not the Captain Jack Sparrow like what she was hoping for. Like, this guy's not the guy. So, she falls in love again. Guy number 2, John Rackham. That's his name. But everybody calls him Calico Jack. This is the guy they based your Johnny Depp character off of, in case you're wondering.
Stop.
Can't make this shit up.
Wow.
Johnny.
Calico Jack. With that said, Jack has his own ship, he has his own crew, and wants to be part of the crew, but you can't put a female on a pirate ship. It's bad luck.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I normally throw that question back to the audience just to make sure everybody's paying attention, and I get some really nasty answers. Just so you know, why can't you put a female on a pirate
I
ship?
mean, come on. That's what it was.
I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, we all know what it was.
Yeah.
But the rule of thumb is that it was truly bad luck.
Yeah.
So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy, look like the crew, you can be part of the crew. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to hide her from his wife. She gets it. It's a man's world.
Wow.
So she's on the ship, and she's a female in his quarters. Let's put 2 and 2 together, guys. She's
Yeah.
eventually going to get pregnant.
Yeah.
You can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl.
Yeah.
So before she starts to show her pregnancy, he drops her off in Cuba. He'll
Oh.
have the baby here, come back later. He just heard the word
Just
baby at the
said
same time I just said it.
baby.
And
Oh.
she comes back later, and there's no child. We have no idea what happened to the baby. None of my research has ever discovered it. No matter all the books I've read, nobody said what happened. But she comes back dressed as a girl. This makes Jack pretty pissed off. Now everybody's going to know he let a girl on the ship. To make him even more mad, she's going to go flirting with the pirate crew he just captured. They're down below deck. Guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a male to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. You with me so far on that
Oh
one?
my
Told you, there's a lot of
God,
twists on this one.
Wait, I didn't hear you. What are you saying?
She's flirting with a female who's dressed like a male to be part of the crew that Calico Jack just captured. There are no female pirates, dude. So back then, it was kind of illegal to become, well, it was illegal to be a pirate in general, but you couldn't let a female on a pirate ship.
Yeah.
Like, it just wasn't a thing.
Bad.
Yeah, bad deal.
Bad deal.
So, with that said, now we have 2 ladies dressed as males trying to be pirates. Well, no longer. Anne and Mary became friends for sure, maybe lovers, we're not really sure because of the time frame. But the British find out where they are. They send a whole fleet of ships. Like, the British find out where they are. They're going to send them a whole navy, like, to go take down one pirate ship. Now, yeah, so the rumor
Overkill.
is... Yeah, they were pissed.
Yeah.
So, with that said, Anne and Mary were the only 2 pirates allegedly not drunk enough to come up and fight with 1-bullet flintlocks because they don't know how to use cannons yet. Remember, he said the word cannons earlier. So, obviously, 2 ladies with 1-bullet guns cannot take on a whole fleet of Navy ships. They get arrested. As they're being arrested, she looks at her captain and beau, Jack, and says, "I'm sorry to see you here, dude, but if you would have fought like a man, you wouldn't be hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up all the time on our communication devices. I've even had like people hear a dog barking on a commercial or something all along the way here and don't even know the story yet. Happens all the time. Anyway, the judge wants to see the 2 quote-unquote men that fought back so valiantly on their
Cage.
own. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunk pirates that, were too drunk to fight. So they're dead and gone. He's already hung them. The 2 ladies go in front of the judge trying to reveal their gender, trying to save themselves, and the judge doesn't give a shit that they're female.
Really?
They're still pirates. He's still going to hang them. They scream out, "We plead our bellies," meaning they're claiming to be pregnant. You can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. He sends them both back to jail and delays the hanging. Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne and brings her home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4. We're going to count Mary because we're not really sure.
Didn't I say cage?
You did.
Caged.
You said cage.
Anne has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. It's very abrupt at the end of that
4
because we don't know much about her after her pirate career. That's not fiction. Speculative fiction at best. Mary Read died 5 months later in that Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Use your imagination on that one. Most books will tell you it was fever. I say make it romantic, call it scurvy. Why the hell not? Like, you guys haven't seen the Pirates of the Caribbean movies? Here, I'm not going to control the environment like what I did at the Pinckney Mansion site as far as questions go. I'm just going to tell you a few things I left out on purpose.
Romance.
We do get a lot of, by the way, we've gotten a lot of sexual style terms come through on different devices because of what we're discussing here. It's so weird.
Yeah.
But here's what I left out. I didn't tell you what Anne Bonny's parents' names were. I didn't tell you the name of Calico Jack's ship. Well, obviously the color of her hair, you have that because you heard, what was it, Red Flag?
Yeah, Red Flyer.
Red Flyer. And I didn't tell you the name of the city that Anne grew up in Ireland. So, again, Anything else you want to ask, I normally tell people have a free-for-all. Like if you smoke and drink rum, it'll probably attract her, so have at it. But again, we'll take a couple of laps around this location and kind of see what we got going on here. He's going to continue to like just spitting out at the mouth. I didn't know if you guys wanted to switch for a few minutes so you
No,
can
he's
kinda
doing
get
good
the
with
gist.
it.
Yeah,
He's
I
doing
figured
good
as
with
much
it. I'm
too,
not going
but-
to take that away from him. No way. He's rolling. This is his wheelhouse
So he
right
did
here.
hear baby, which could be relevant in a lot of different ways because there's literally like 9 stories on this corner. I know which ones are legit, which ones are kind of bogus. But baby can be the one.
85.
I just stopped and like think about the years for a second. I'm gonna write it down anyway, just in case, because I could also look at that as like August 5th. Like I don't know if that's a
Right,
relevant
could be
date.
breaking it up.
Right. I've seen that before too.
Health.
Red flyer. I don't always get EMF in this location. It's actually exciting for me to see a 2.5 here. So I'll be probably just majorly focused on this word list. Oh, look at that, the word rapture. That's super great.
Whoa.
Magic.
Magic.
Rapture.
Oh, we got the word listen while we were exiting the alley. Listen for the whistles. It's a vague stretch, but it's still there. Interesting. Okay. All right, let's do it. What do you want to know? What do we want to start off with?
I
Let's
don't
get
know.
you to ask a question or two instead of me doing all the work, man.
Gosh, what could we ask?
I mean, the parents' names are usually an easy one. Because the names, we've gotten them multiple times. It's a regular thing for us.
I'm fascinated by this old building, to be honest with you.
The building itself is fascinating.
Yeah.
The architecture of it
Yeah.
is, I don't always bring it
Plain.
up because, teenagers don't give a shit about architecture. But there's actually, it's set up on a groin vaulted ceiling. So what that means is that there's 8 pillars that make up the outside of the building and they're 4 foot thick.
Okay.
So in the event that it gets attacked from the water, which is 3 blocks away, pirate ship, cannonball comes through and blows up the gunpowder. First off, it's going to have a hard time going through it. If it does, and it blows up the gunpowder, there is sand underneath those shingles that's still there. That if it goes up into the air, the sand is designed to fall
Waves.
to put out the fire of the gunpowder.
Oh my God.
That's another great idea,
brilliant.
but it doesn't work either.
It doesn't work.
We had another powder magazine down by the battery, and
Green.
it's obviously much closer to the water, so it did get impacted. The sand went up, the building burned to the ground, and no longer exists.
Oh, wow. Wow. It's so fascinating.
But when they turned this into a museum, they did some repairs back in the 80s and 90s, and they found that the
Spicy.
sand is still there from like 1708,
That's insane.
1709. I mean, sand doesn't disintegrate, and it's not hot enough, and it's not being compressed to be turned into glass. So, I mean, it's still granulated in there.
That's so crazy. What a
But that's
crazy-
actually a great $5 to spend, like to go through the museum.
Oh,
Like they will
museum,
tell you
huh?
all about the different, like the war uniforms are in there for all the different wars that served in.
87.
Oh, that's cool.
It's really cool.
I feel
I'm
like
hearing.
I feel like he said that again.
No, he said 85 earlier.
Oh, he said 85.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And at this point, because he is hearing so much, I'm only going to be writing down what's relevant.
Yeah.
At least that I know of that's relevant, because he
Yeah.
is getting a lot.
Yeah. What could we ask Annie?
He's like, don't ask me.
I don't know.
He's like, I'm just the interpreter.
Yeah, you're the
I'm kinda-
interpreter. What could we ask her?
And that's actually an apartment building behind it. Like people live there.
Tagged.
Dude, that's so creepy.
They don't know.
They don't
well, if they
know.
do, they don't care. Or they're not believers.
No. I mean, God, I'll tell you right now, I would feel something. I've felt things. I've had experiences. Yeah, just telling you, I've had them. And like places like that, like, would just.
See, a place like that, like I would be enthralled to live here for 6 months, like just to get enough data.
You would have so. Yeah, you would just have so.
Just to have a
much.
full study on the building behind the
Bellowed.
powder magazine. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You'd have access. I mean, you could literally
Yeah.
just, sit
Oh,
by that
yeah.
window or on your porch. There's
Yeah.
a porch on the other
There's a-
side
yeah,
over
there's a
there.
piazza on the
Jesus.
side.
Condo.
There's some on the back too.
That's insane.
Oh, not to mention, like that's a cemetery on the other side of that wall.
Oh my
so the back
God.
porch overlooks.
That's insane, Nick. What a cool place, dude. You said you were into vampires before?
Oh, back in my high school.
Back in the high
Yeah,
school
I'm
days.
talking many, many
Steak.
Sure.
But
stake.
But yeah, there's say like one of those actually has like a porch on the back of it. But on the other side of this wall is the western
Maze.
side of the St. Philip Cemetery. So there's two sides of it. The other side's a graveyard. So the difference between that is that a cemetery is detached and a graveyard is attached to the church.
Oh.
So think of it as kind of like the yard, graveyard.
Okay.
So that's the difference between a cemetery and a graveyard.
Okay.
So with the graveyard itself, like you have to be a native Charlestonian to be put on that side.
Front yard.
All others are put over here. John Calhoun, your 7th vice president, is buried on the other side of this wall. It's open to the public during the day, so if you guys are down in this area, by all means, his sarcophagus is above ground.
Oh, cool.
So it's actually something really cool to see. But he's not from here. That's why he's on this side.
That's why he's over here. Okay.
They actually moved him several times trying to figure out where the hell he was supposed to go because they weren't sure if he was from here or not.
Backyard.
That's not funny. That's terrible.
Well, we all make that joke.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know, every tour in town tells you, like, oh, they say he crossed over, you know, Church Street more times
Flying.
dead than he did alive.
Oh my God.
Like, just
That's-
make it what it is,
yeah,
guys.
right.
I mean, I think they moved him like 3 times trying to figure it out. But John Calhoun is not a. Let's put it this way: they took his statue down,
Okay.
like big.
Yeah.
We're talking. This thing was 50 feet in the air,
Mm.
like
Yeah.
big BLM.
Got canceled.
Yep.
Mhm. Yep.
Which sucks. You guys are
Yeah.
in Chicago, so you guys know what this is.
Oh,
At least
yeah.
I hope you do. So the Secret. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
Like the treasure hunt, the Secret.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have one here.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I know your guys' was found.
Yeah.
Yeah, ours wasn't.
Oh.
Ours hasn't been found yet.
Oh
Hunter.
my gosh.
He's not even listening to me right now.
No.
He's
not.
got both headphones on.
Oh, you got them both on right now?
Yeah, he can't hear you.
Leave one so you can hear us.
No,
talk.
he's fine.
Oh,
Let him
good.
go.
Never
Let him
mind.
run.
Do your thing. Do your thing. You're good.
But that Calhoun was actually part of my solve for where I thought, you know, the cask was. And to, like, this is a lot different than up north.
Yeah.
Like, to be able to put a shovel to the ground
Oceans.
in Charleston
Uh-huh.
is like an act of Congress.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
Guess who was able to put a shovel to the ground with?
No way, man. That's
They actually told me they felt like I was about
Secrets.
15 feet off because our ground is below sea level.
wow.
So the water shifts the ground underneath us. They said if I can come back with
Above.
GPR, they'll let me go again. Because I suited up and made a presentation.
Treasures.
Like I had power slides.
He said
The hunt.
treasures and above. I don't know if that matters. He just small Rain Man over here spouting it off.
What?
I guess I'm so used to it.
You're
I mean,
good, man. You're good. You're good.
yeah, he's listening.
You're doing good.
But yeah, the secret here has not been found yet,
Wow. That's cool.
and it's not where like it's not even the right poem. Like
Hmm.
that people are linking up to this location.
Hmm.
Like at least according to my. See, he's got treasure above. He had Hunter too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what I got going on with the board
Keep this on
list.
you. Keep this on you. Stay still. Don't move around. Stay right there. Because I want it on you.
Let's get some footage of it, man.
Yeah.
So you said your daughter's 16. How old is he?
He's going to be 13.
I have a hard time with teenagers
Mm.
because my 17-year-old, my youngest, is
Yeah.
this tall. My 23-year-old is this tall. Like both of my kids are super short.
Oh my gosh.
So like when I see kids like him, I'm
Yeah.
like I'm clueless.
Yeah, yeah.
Walk.
That's so funny.
Move.
Age of these kids.
Yeah.
And we're gonna wrap it up unless you give us something very definitive.
Scared.
You're not scared, Ann. Normally this is where I tell my folks, just kick her in the shins, get the damn answers. This isn't a prominent English woman, you need to... Yeah, see, it's normally flat zeros here.
Mm.
Graves.
We're standing next to the damn cemetery.
Mm.
Ann, what's the code word for us to leave? 'Cause I'm not truly convinced that you're even here. At least not
Bye.
tonight. Did he just say bye?
Goodbye.
That's time to call it.
That's wild. Literally said goodbye.
Normally the code word is
Away.
home.
Mm. What'd you say?
Away.
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 Bye away.
Hmm. I mean, that's pretty direct.
Yes. Some of these spirits can be.
Wow.
I'll just put about 17 in there, just so you know what a normal tour looks like. Like I go to half of that, and I'm on my toes. You know what I mean? Because I
Yeah.
got really gear out.
I mean, yeah. I mean, my gosh, you got them messing with your stuff. So.
Yeah, the bag's still at like 30 pounds. Like you guys took like 2 pounds out of it. That's it.
Right.
I mean, it's nice when it's empty for me.
Yeah.
But it means I just got to run
Said
around a lot
leave.
more. So
Said
yeah,
leave.
5, leave, and
Away.
yeah, away. All right, let's go ahead and put a stop to your vid.
Okay.
Actually, we can do it back here. So the next location, by the way, we're going to be changing things up a little bit. So we are going to go talk about a murder mystery, which means I don't have all the answers.
Do you want me to do this one?
So along the way there, yes, but you're going to swap. So what's going to happen? Actually, Dad, I'm going to take your cam at this point because we're going to be doing all kinds of craziness up in the next two.
Yep.
So we won't be. I got it. Yep.